Darling.
Show you the
When
email.
we all see Jesus.
Ndo hii email. Alafu huyu
Tuingie
alikuwa
kwa
hivi.
Yo.
Okay.
Hi guys, welcome back to another amazing episode of Truthcast. Thank you so much to our new subscribers. Imebidi tu life yangu move on with these people like this. Thank you so much to our new subscribers, people who comment and like our videos, people who give us feedback. Your feedback means the world to us. Asanteni sana.
Yeah, and before we start, we just want to give a shout out to Awesome Media Studios, who are our hosts.
Yes.
This amazing lighting that we have here, this amazing equipment that we have here is by Awesome Media Studios. So more details are going to be coming on your screen. Reach out to them in case you want to do podcasts, in case you want to have an event and you need people, videographers, you need sound. They're your guys.
Wasiwa noma.
Yeah.
Wasiwa noma, guys. So today, we're going to talk about navigating Christianity. So, I pose a question to you guys, yeah? So, what is Christianity? Or rather, I'd like to know, how did you view Christianity before you got into it and after you got into it? Like before you got like saved, yeah? So what was Christianity at that time? And then when you got saved and you got serious with God, what did Christianity mean at that time? You get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to start?
Before I got saved, I used to go to church kutoka nikuwe mtoi. My mom was prayerful. People were prayerful in my home, but there was never that personal experience. And hii kitu tu tunafanyanga, but it doesn't have meaning to it. Then after class 8 hapo, I used to go to church often, but not because I was seeking anything, but because that's the only thing there is for me to do.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can do with my free time, because my mom used to manage my free time a lot. Kama wendi church hautoki hapa. So nitatoka nikenda wapi?
Hey, yo.
Church. So then nikaenda high school. So after high school nilikuwa naona people who are, churchy and spiri are very stupid. And very naive.
So you knew your high school. So unamashuku unaona mimi ni mjinga.
Yeah, Joy like.
Unajua nilikuwa nakuja naambia spe umesikia wimbo Bruno Mars mpya ati guy Bruno Mars ni nani? Sasa nilikuwa nashanga.
I can see how that can be true.
Yes, at that age, you can see how I can view these people like that. Unaget, because kama when I was your man, spe hata ajui hiyo wimbo inaanza. Hata chorus ajui.
When I was your mom.
Ya Bruno Mars.
When I was your mom.
Ebu musianze na mimi. So anyway, you see such things. Ama naongelelea some topics with Spay. Spay ananiambia kuongelelea hiyo kitu, hiyo ni tabia mbaya. Let me tell you.
Kwa guy niambi
Hapana, that is her now. Then
that's how she used to do it.
Spay used to look at me like this.
You're a judge.
Imagine you're lying.
With so much sympathy.
Imagine you're lying.
You are such a sinner.
I was such a sinner.
imagine Maggie,
and
you're
then
lying.
I'm not lying. It's just that you don't remember. Kuna times nilikuwa nakamjakaranda na kupatadi unafanya Bible study. Unasoma Biblia. Najiuliza huyu msichana anasoma Bible hivyo tu. Who reads the Bible?
This is very interesting because when we met, when Maggie and I met, she was more serious with God than I was.
I was not serious with God. That was just my
Okay.
other space I could be.
So outside looking
I was not
in.
really serious with God. It's just that when I'm not at home, that's where I am.
But then again, whether or not.
Yeah, so for you, from where you were standing, you felt like I was serious with God. But I was not
outside
really
looking in. She looked like she was serious. Now you weren't.
Me, that was me
and
also,
going
maybe
to hang
maybe
out.
you can
say that right now. But even then, you genuinely loved going to church? Because tulikuwa tunafanya plays za Chrissy.
But
I
tunaona
think
na
she liked
church
the
juu ya hiyo
hangouts. She
play.
liked the hangouts.
Naenda na meet watu
The
ni
people.
siboeki.
Yeah, she
Okay.
liked the people.
Siboeki because I was an only child for how long? 12 years. Then
Yo.
Angel comes in. I can't start playing with
Wild.
like a small kid there all the time. Niko. So naenda na meet na
Na
kina
ujamza.
Lokole, kina nani tuna dance, tuna act, tunaimba.
Anapata boyfriend.
Na
Mbona umesema hapo? Ni nini hiyo?
wewe.
Si alikusema la same mseme.
Nani huyo? We usiseme. Najua kenye unataka kusema.
Bas,
Please.
endelea.
The past is the past. I'm now in the Lord. We're just
Meaning kwani in
giving
the Lord huku
context.
una date?
The only person I could hang out with was Speo at that time.
Yeah.
So if Speo is not in Jacaranda, tunapatana wapi?
Church.
Tunakuja kuimba, sawa, tukaimbe. Tunaimba. Mkiambiwa muimbe, mnaambiwa raise your hands, you will raise those hands. You just want the hangout. You
okay.
get? Though I did have some instances where I felt like there are times ningekupata unasoma Bible ama unaniambia Magi twende church ama sometimes ulikuwa unakuja pia way home unaniambia tusome Bible kidogo. At some point nilikuwa na feel like hey, this one is better than me. I can never be like that.
Wow. So you're saying you felt like Christianity had a standard. You have to be a certain type of way.
To be like that, you know, to be like that. And then also by the time nilikuwa namaliza high school, I felt like watu wanafanya hizi vitu hawajui dunia. Amjui life. You know, amjui until now when I joined Kings. And I came to Kings against my will because Peo insisted.
Okay. Okay.
Speo alini-invite mara kami na mama nitakam sio kwa kila ngana jamii siendi hizo vitu. Nenda huko.
Kineke.
Speo alikuwa ananiambia utakuja Bible study. So I used to think Bible study is you know venye tulikuwa tunachambua set books in class. I used to think that is Bible study. Sasa kwa najua nichambue akoko. Alafu nikuja hapa tena nichambue Moses. Please. You know, ama nichambue the book of Numbers.
Oh no.
And I was like, nah. So that was Bible
Moses
study
is a
for
good
me.
guy.
I like Moses. So my perspective changed when I joined Kings. And that was because in Kings, I had an experience with God. An experience that come what may, no one can change my mind about it. Like I always tell people, Jesus bumped into me. In fact, I didn't need him. And then he just bumped onto me and I loved it.
So what was
So right
Christianity
now-
became?
Right now, Christianity is a relationship with God.
Okay.
You know, it goes deeper than the soul. It is like we keep saying, I don't know how people survive with God. Hata mi sijui ni
Without-
wanaishiaje hivyo tu.
Yeah,
You get?
without God.
And that is because of the aspect of the Holy Spirit. Because you see, the Bible says that God goes before you. Just that aspect in itself, knowing that nothing catches God by surprise. And even you as a child of God, things don't have to catch you by surprise. And even when you feel like things have caught you by surprise, there's still someone there with you. Una get?
Yeah.
Those two aspects.
Yeah.
You get? And also the thing that made me be like, wow, by the way, God is real. After Kings, nini, then I went to some local church because my mom still had the rule of on Sundays, watu hawakai kwa nyumba yangu, tafuta kanisa uende. So nikatoka, and I didn't, so nikatoka nikatembea. I was just looking for any church and I walked into some full gospel church.
Just full gospel.
Before achana na after nitoke huku kwingine, nakumbuka venye nilitoka huku kwingine na vita, akiniambia ni sawa, tafuta mali utaenda basi. Katembea nikatafuta. I walked into some full gospel church and people were worshiping genuinely and I joined in, and as I was worshiping mikono zikaanza tu fanya hivi.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, do you know, I thought I was mad. Ilikuwa kitu saa 4:30 nilikuwa nisharudi home because I was thinking in my head, what the hell is that?
Now hold on.
Shall
Hold on to that. We're going to get to your experience in, or rather your
Journey.
no, not journey. What's
Experience,
it called?
encounter.
Your encounter with Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is yours? What was Christianity to you before you got serious and after you got serious?
Okay, so even me, just like Maggie, I was born in a very Christian home. My dad is a pastor, was a pastor even then. And I remember kwa nyumba, watu wako allowed to watch The Beat. You remember hizo maimbo zilikuwa zinaka mingi from to 5 p.m. So you would see my dad coming, inazimwa.
Oh, okay.
But alafu tuneka family TV.
Okay.
So I grew up in that environment of, let me say, Jesus was constantly being, dad alikuwa akiamka ateka family TV. Your time kulikuwa sijui na 700 Club. Guys would give their testimonies of how God saved them from sijui accidents and addictions and all that stuff. But I also used to, my dad, I can say my dad was the first person to introduce me to Jesus, because I used to see him with the Bible every time. And I used to ask him, unafanya nini? And he would be like, anasoma Biblia, na akaniambia kuhusu Jesus, venye alizaliwa through Mary.
Moses.
And then there actually kulikuwa na kitabu, some big book, I think it's even bado iko kwa nyumba hadi sahi. And used to tell me, this is Moses akitoka na Israelites kutoka Egypt, wakafika wapi, wakafika wapi.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. But now I got born again. First of all, nilikuwa naokokanga kila saa. Acha niseme hiyo. Because I remember the first time I made the confession prayer, hiyo ya Jesus coming to my heart, I was in class 7. But I still didn't understand what this is.
Okay.
So by the time now I was getting serious in now understanding what exactly does God mean, who is Jesus, who is the Holy Spirit, and now getting to decide to ni okoke sasa. I was in Form 2. It was a weekend challenge. I don't remember kama ilikuwa weekend challenge akina Ken Go Mary ama ilikuwa weekend challenge ya Kings, but it was a weekend challenge. And I decided sasa mimi na Jesus kaende kae.
So at that point you understood what you're getting into.
At this point I understood what I was getting into. And now at this point there's a question you asked, what I thought Christianity was.
Yeah, what was it to you at that time?
First of all, I knew it was a way of life, because I remember even guys in our high school who were Christians, or rather specifically what was CU, well, they used to behave a certain type of way. You know, they would avoid being in noisemakers list. You know, they would avoid being caught in the dorms at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So there's a way they carried themselves out. So even me, I knew, now that I'm getting born again,
This is the way you
siwezi kuwa napiganga kelele. Juu mimi nilikuwa kurutu. So I knew kelele.
It's a way of life.
Inaisha.
Yeah, I knew my way of life had
So
to
this
change.
is before
This is now after I have gotten born again.
and before. What was Christianity?
Before Christianity was me, nilikuwa najua ni tu kusoma Biblia.
Okay.
Or how you grew up. Because I also had instances where, yes, in our home, Mimi, I'd watch Family TV, your Turning Point, 700 Club. I'd also get born again multiple times.
Yeah.
So that I think that's why by the time nilikuwa namaliza high school.
Because actually I remember, Maggie, the first time you gave your life to Christ, you were in your room alone.
I remember.
Yeah.
Anakumbuka hiyo story cause nilisema kwa baptism class. Unaona hadi nilienda baptism class. But you see, because you're not understanding what you're getting into. Leo umeconfess this. The next week you're totally back to default settings. I think that's why by the time nilikuwa namaliza high school nilikuwa na feel bado mko huko.
You. For me, I did not grow up in a Christian. Far from it. Far from it, for real. It was far from it. Because I remember, it was far. Because I don't think, I've never seen my parents go to church. I think the first time I saw my mother and I in the same church was renewal year, vows year, my grandparents. So that's the first time I saw my mom in church, and then my father never seen him in church ever. So my growing up setup, there was no Bible reading, there was none of that. Like totally none of that. Now the only thing that I had when I was growing up was I would watch Family TV used to have Bible stories at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yes, David is so
Yeah,
little,
those things.
David is so
Yeah.
And you know, all of us have mentioned Family TV. Big up to Family TV.
Hey, man.
guys.
So I remember, let me that was the only time hata mamangu alikuwa ananiambia that is the only time nitamka voluntarily.
Wow.
As in I would wake up.
the kids shows.
Yeah, it used to happen 7 a.m. in the morning.
Why would they put them at 7 a.m.?
I know, and on a Saturday. On a Saturday, to make it worse. So that one, I used to wake up very early in the morning. Naenda nakatu kwa TV, family TV. Naeka na watch Moses, nini. So for me, that was Saturday. Sometimes that would be my church. Because on Sunday, I'm not going to church. So Sundays for us would be, we are waking up late. We're waking up late, blasting music.
Lazy day.
It is a lazy day. Everyone is just lazing around. We eat at 3 p.m. It was just a chill day. Now, the only time I would go to church on Sunday if when our help is going to church. So I remember nilikuwa naambianga help aende na mimi. Naget. It's not that I don't think I was interested in church. I think I just liked to see.
Kutembea tu.
Si hata kutembea. No. Nilikuwa nataka tu kuona ni nini inaendeleanga.
Nini mnafanyanga.
Sijalelewa kwa Sunday school. So sijui.
So for you it's a wonder. It's an adventure.
It's interesting
it's an
to see
experience.
outside a school setting. Kids are gathering to do what exactly? You get. Mimi nilikuwa nakula saga. No, the thing is my mom would really encourage that.
Kukula sadaka.
No, my mom would encourage me going na house help. Bebana na Tiffany. Endana na Tiffany all the time. So hiyo time anakuja na mama kuja nikupatie sadaka. Mimi nipite kwa bakery.
Sadaka ni nini?
Lead us to temptation.
I think those guys knew what they were doing because that ilikuwa hiyo bakery alafu kanisa iko pale. Babe, nikishasikia smell.
Hiyo bakery hata bado iko open kweli.
No, with no shame, no remorse, nothing.
Mimi zilikuwa wefa.
So ile watoto wanaambiwa tutapata laana. Mimi hata hiyo iko na it would not
kutishi hata kidogo
at all. So that was my growing up. Then life changed kidogo, and now I move into an environment where Sunday you have to go to church. And sasa tunaenda kanisa. And
now it's a must.
Now,
or it's a regular thing.
A rule,
okay.
But that's what everyone else in the house is doing. Everyone is dressing up on Sunday to go to church. So that's how I got into church, and I got into my teens. By that time I was a teen. Teens, all these things. And I would say for me, I have never really been curious about Jesus because he wasn't new to me. With the Bible stories I was watching, I knew there was a Jesus. I knew, and then the few times I would go to church, I knew about him. So I think I just didn't have curiosity of what is Christianity, nini. So when I got to upper primary, watu usomanga Biblia before tuanze preps. na after tunaomba. Alafu tunakuanga na ka devotions in the morning. Okay. So I remember I started reading my Bible, and I started really reading my Bible, but it was not from a point of...
But at this point, you're not born again.
I'm not born again.
So you're just doing what Christians do.
I'm just doing what... It was
there was no conviction.
There was no conviction for me, but then I knew there was a Jesus. And I was like, when I see people pursuing that around me, I would pursue with them. When we are not pursuing it, we are not pursuing it, all of us. You understand? Naenda. Palitu naenda. Then I think I started becoming very curious now in primary, your time, upper primary, when people are doing the devotions, people are doing the let's be praying. Niulize Moses how old was he? So that time is when I started having an itch of what exactly is this thing, because you see people going to Christ when things are
exam.
Exactly. So that's when I started discovering it, and then I think I got saved. Apple. I can't remember, but I remember I know I got saved, and then I really sikutilia manani. But then in another journey, I got saved in Form 2 of high school also, and that's when I became serious-ish, Like I was like, okay, so you're saved. But then to be very honest, I was still doing, my life was just the same. I was like, yes, I've accepted Christ. I'm not doing too much.
But nothing major has
nothing
changed.
major has changed. Whatever enter, nilikuwa naenda.
So now that you got born again, at what point did you start to see change
In my life?
Yeah.
Firstly, to answer the question of definition that I was asking you guys, I don't think before I didn't have any definition because I was not really searching out anything. But I was like, I didn't really think much of it. So whilst after I got saved, I was like, I feel like these people are too stuck up. And I really don't like
St.
it.
George's, yo.
You know, and I really didn't like that because I think I was too used to a certain way of life and I didn't want to let it go. And then also there was some extremes that were to exaggerate. In my opinion.
Ongeza hiyo.
In my opinion. Then now when I walked the walk for a while, some things just started falling off me.
Yeah.
Like no praying about it, no. Enter ikaanza tu si feel. You know, sasa ingekuwa tu certain songs nikisikia.
Zinakurudisha Misri.
Guy!
Yeah.
Niyo nilikuwa naenda. I think hata shetani alikuwa hiyo ichezwe intentionally. Because sasa entaika hiyo moto ya entaika niisha. And I'm not saying enta is bad. I think you just need to understand your walk with Christ. So for me entaika anza tu nikacha kukua. I was very I feel like I was very
Kimia na pilo.
I feel like I was a very rough human being. Yeah, I was a very rough human being. Nikaanza kutulia kiasi. Mtu asiseme hapa alikuja hapa nilimbuli. Kuna confession. Kiasi. I took a few steps back. I can see there was notable change in my character and the things that I liked. Yeah.
Maggie, for you, what started to change after now your experience with Kings?
After now my experience with Kings, I went, okay, by the time nilikuwa narudi form 1, nakumbuka I spent a lot of time with you before form 1.
Yeah.
So that had rubbed off kidogo. So nikijoin form 1, I was reading my Bible and I was even preaching to people in the field and in the
Hallelujah.
hall, in the dining hall. Nilikuwa nakale ka Gideon's Bible. The book of John, for some reason, nilikuwa na feel na inaingia vizuri. So I used to preach that a lot to people until one lady I interacted with, one student was like, when akupatia tu hadi next year first term, utakuja uniambie. Ukienda hivi December holiday, utarudi uniambie.
Na ikweli ka.
Na true to our words, ika happen. So by the time I was joining from I was a totally different person. So by the time namaliza high school, maybe sasa ndio your thought, yeah, I tried this, it didn't work, so mnafanya. So anyway, when I came to Kings, I think that thing I had in form 1, sasa ndo ikakuwa reignited.
So you guys in high school, did you guys have those weekend challenges?
Yes, we did. And I used to participate because at the back of your mind, unaona niligrow nikiambiwa huku kwangu watu wanaenda kanisa. You know that is the right thing, but hakuna conviction in any way. It's just that it's the right thing.
Yeah.
So I even went for a few CU meetings. I even went for a few CU funkies and all, but tuko tu
voice cut fupi.
Na ina machali wa handi. As in tuko tu. I have not said that. So when now, so am I talking about my encounter here now? What am I answering?
What started to change?
What started to change when I joined Kings? What started to change was, like Siukawa said, some things just fell off. Unaamka tu siku moja unapata guy, hii kitu haiko tena.
Yeah.
This thought is not there anymore.
Yeah.
This struggle, this feeling is not there anymore. And then the word started making sense.
Okay.
Wow.
Unaona ile struggle unasoma Biblia hata hakuna kitu inaingia, nika tunagonga tu mawe ujui what is being thou there this. Sasa hizo thou there this sasa zikaanza pia zina ingia.
Okay.
You know, zina make sense. And you know, you people have experienced that when you read the word and it makes sense to you, there's some edification that just happens.
It ministers to
so
you.
I started experiencing that and I'm like, wow. So I wanted to read more. I wanted to listen more. Unasikiza gospel music, it's not it's no longer boring.
Yeah.
It actually ministers to you. You know, get
Like now being grown, mimi hizi wimbo za I could never listen to when I was young. Hizi za Kiswahili. Hii yenye tunaimbanga nzige yenye nashinanga nikikwambia.
But now when you listen, it ministers. Hey, you see, my perception in life also started changing because in Kings, you know, you're fed the gospel of grace a lot.
Yeah.
So perception of the world, how you see yourself started changing. Utapata mamangu yes, nimefanya makosa, but mamangu ange wewe sijui unakata. It doesn't hurt as much because you've been taught about your identity.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So such things started changing. Get?
I think for me what mimi sasa akukuwa nati just falling off. I remember when I got born again now in form 2, I decided in my heart that mimi na secular music,
that's a no.
because mimi I used to love Rihanna. Alafu remember that time there's this guy called Reverend Tom.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, let me tell you, that man was traumatizing
Let me
us.
tell
I don't
you.
But
remember
mimi
him.
atani traumatize.
Urudi.
Wa shule yenyu?
No.
He used to go to very many different schools, and he still does it even. And now he was telling us this, exposing us to the spirit behind Beyonce.
You see
The
these
spirit
videos on
behind
YouTube.
Rihanna.
Alafu they take a clip.
Also, he was telling you those two things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that why you'd find me listening to Beyonce and you're like, Maggie, stop listening to Beyonce?
That was partly it. That was partly it. Because Sababu, I remember the first time he came, he was given, I think, a Wednesday evening service. Akaanza na sijui.
The snares of the devil.
Sijui what? Jay-Z. Yo, akaenda kwa Kanye West. Akaenda kwa Drake. Akafika kwa Rihanna. Because I really loved Rihanna's voice. So when I got born again, I decided in my heart and in my mind that
I'm not doing
it.
it. And you truly decided.
And it was hard. It was very hard. Because I remember kuna time tulikuwa tunaenda funky wakaeka wimbo ya Rihanna. Nikarudi back to square one. But I decided nikaendelea. And then good thing is nikirudi, I think kuna holiday fulani, I think holiday ya form 2 December holiday tukienda form 3 nikanunuliwa a smartphone. Rather my sister got one, I took the one that she had, something like that. Because now unajua sasa kitambo nilikuwa nasikianga Kiss 100. So nika graduate from Kiss 100. I started downloading my own songs. And let me tell you guys, during this holiday, I started listening to Akina Tasha Cobbs, Akina Tamela Man. I started listening to Akina William McDowell. And those secular music zika fall off. I replaced them immediately. I found a replacement and now nikakuwa nimestick. Instead of listening to Rihanna when I'm going to the shop to buy bread, I'm listening to Tasha Cobbs. And so, and nilianza kufeel more peaceful. Kwa sasa tungeenda funky, watu wanaeka wimbo za Rihanna and I'm not flinching. Hainisumbui. And it's not like I have earphones on.
Yeah.
We are all just maybe tunapiga story and the person who seated next to me. So and I'm so glad that even up to today, hizo wimbo zenye zinasumbanga watu kwa matatu siku hizi, sijui I can't deliver. I don't usually know them. Like mtu atatoa a new catchy song and everyone is fussing about it. So no shade to them, but
I want to be like you when I grow up. Because for me, right up to date, play Beyonce anywhere, anytime.
Beyonce.
I'm struggling. I am struggling.
Maggie will sell the kidney.
Atauza mtoto.
Atauza kidney.
Ati mtoto akino exaggerate.
For me, my upbringing has really imefanya hiyo me to be like you a bit harder in terms of secular. And I'm not trying to make excuses for myself at all.
Yeah, we are not.
Because when I was young, I told you, when I was young, my mom would put a song. We're in the sitting room.
And you'd sing together.
Not Sisi Wawili. And she's like, Mommy, come and dance for me. I used to love to dance. She'd put a song, she's sitting, she has a drink in her glass, and she's like,
Ata me, my
Mommy,
mom would
dance
do
for
those-
me. And me,
those
those
things
things
for me.
because in
Yeah.
bamba. So she puts a song. No wonder Mimi, I literally like no. Na Spencer kwa matatu. wataanza kuimba wimbo ya 1990
And you know it's
Nitaanza kuimba,
same.
ati hadi hiyo. Because now those are the things my mom is she'll play it and she's like, mommy, come and dance for me. So I know the lyrics. Some of the sometimes we lived next to these artists in Isili.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey,
And you get so this thing as in I've been in this environment. Jua kali na kila nini. I swear, because his brother was my dad's best friend. So you can imagine I live. This is a lifestyle.
That's your community in short.
Ungekuwa video vixen.
Vixen.
So
Guy, hey, I can't.
At the time they wanted a child to be in one of the video, not at to dance.
Oh, I thought
so they wanted a
Nizo's
child
Gine.
to be in the video.
Sigara.
Babangu akasema hiyo hapana mwezi ka.
Because he knew you'd grow up.
I don't think he knew I'd grow up. I think he didn't want his kid to be
To
in
start
this
on that journey. That's
yeah.
okay.
He didn't want me to be there. Me, my mom was already down.
Wewe. Sasa ikuje.
My mom was ready. Twende kaende, you get. So having such a background, imenifanyika kwa ngori. But I'm praying for myself nifike hapa to decide.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm
And
praying
put a
for you
stamp
both.
on it.
But nime-improve sana. I no longer listen to... Like, there's progress, by the way.
For me, I don't have them on my phone. I don't download them. My phone is pure.
But and you know that's a shocking thing, Tiffany.
Aiko kwa
Does not
phone,
have them in her phone.
but anazijua. Latest ikitokea anajua lyrics. Hey. How?
Explain
But
to
then
the
you're
audience.
always so up to date.
Oh God.
Boy.
I don't listen to that.
Afadhali mi nazijua after 6
Don't.
months.
Just one song. God. But Spencer nikimwambianga one thing.
Anajua ni
anaendaga
hivyo.
nayo. I am in love now.
Anyway, let's continue. So now that we've gotten born again, things about us we're starting to change. We're starting to morph. you know?
Yeah.
What is one thing that happened in your Christianity as a young Christian that changed how you viewed Christianity?
One thing that I don't think I can say there is one thing that happened, but for me, it would be my life. Once I got saved, I became a sensitive, I would say. When I was saying I was a bit rough, it was not really rough with people. It was rough with myself. I was not an emotional babe. I would not even allow myself to be. And it's not that I'll sit down and I'm like, so today we are not feeling nothing. You get it was in my
A
head.
survival,
You
whatever
understand?
skill.
So my body would go into such things, no questions asked. So once I got born again, the Holy Spirit just started softening me, and I didn't like it. Still don't like it today, but the Lord is working on me. But the Holy Spirit started softening me up, and now I would feel things, and now I don't know what to do with the feelings. So I would get really angry. I am cussing people out, and I'm telling Spirit, I don't like this. And then at that point in time, I would only do that. You get? Because sometimes you'd find I would do that, go talk to Spencer about it and vent, go to the person and talk to them about it. And it's not talking, we are talking nicely, confront them and do whatever needs to be done. But then it got to a point where it was just, I'd tell Spencer, I'd come, I'd vent, ingeishia hapo. You get?
Ungeenda kutafuta mtu
Singeenda
mwingine.
kutafuta huo mtu. You understand? And there was no urge to look for this person. I want to make them feel as worse as there was no urge like that. So I started becoming a better human being. Is that being a better? Yeah, I started becoming in tune with myself.
I think it's you started healing. Because
Yeah,
you're not,
yeah.
not bleeding on people. Yeah.
I think for me, one thing that really, I remember when I got born again, unajua venye sometimes people are preaching and I usually say that this is very dangerous to introduce the I don't want to say prosperity gospel, but let me just say prosperity gospel. To introduce prosperity gospel to young believers. Because they get into Christianity thinking
This is it.
That this is
yeah,
it.
This
thinking
is how
that
it is.
I'm never going to be broke.
Yeah.
I'm never going
It's
to be
not a
sick.
struggle,
You know,
yeah.
I'm not, or rather,
These
I'm
things
not
are
supposed to be
automatic.
sick.
Yeah.
You know. But I remember when I got born again, you know, Mukami used to be an angry child. Ukinikasirisha,
Yeah.
fire for fire.
Yeah.
But I remember now that is among the things that started falling off. And I remember watu wangenikasirisha and I would say ni sawa. Most of the times I would say ni sawa. Not unless I am the one who's deciding to bully you.
Now you'd find the thing, Maggie, would be I'd come and tell Spencer X and X amenikosea. Now Spence, on top of my flaring up, Spencer like, usimuweke uyo.
Yeah.
Nikupeleke.
That is
You get, now
typical
that's how we
Spencer.
would, I don't know, I think that's how we would bounce off. Now yeye, mimi sina energy ya kuenda kudeal na yangu. Lakini yake, niko na kwanga room gani huyo msichana?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm a good person to have on your side.
Interesting.
So I realized that niliachanga kukasirika sana. You know? Ungenikasirisha lakini I will not deal with you the way I would have. You know the way the Bible says that your enemies deal with you treacherously.
Yeah.
So nilianza kuona hiyo ina change. And I used to be like, wow. It used to shock me.
Shock you in a good or a bad way?
Nilikuwa na feeling kama inani change na kuwa mtu different. And I didn't know how to feel about the fact that I was becoming a totally different person.
I mean, I didn't like it. I was like, I'm becoming too soft. So the next person that will kosea mi uyo, naenda kaende na yeye.
Analipia huyo mwingine.
Analipia hao wengine nilinyamaza.
So I remember especially the anger that I used to have. And then of course later on we come to realize that some of these things are burdens that we carried from our childhood. And then now I understood why I was angry. And I think I've been able to deal with it. But at that point, ilikuwa inanishangaza. And then another thing that happened when I was getting born again is, I remember the struggle with school fees. It never used to weigh me down I used to find comfort somehow. I used to somehow find comfort in Jesus. I knew I didn't have school fees. Sometimes I knew it was going to affect because I remember the time in Form 3 we were doing indexing exams.
Yeah.
And I was almost going to miss those exams. But I remember not being worried. And I didn't even get a bad index number for my KCSE exams. And just because najua kitambo ningekuwa na pressure, ningekuwa nimejam, ningekuwa nauliza my mom some questions. But even I remember during that time, she used to be like, I'm even wondering how you're not
stressed.
Because my mom alikuwa nasema ingekuwa yeye when she was a little younger, angekuwa na behave a little bit differently. So I think it also made my mom and I sort of relate differently, because now I think alikuwa naona the pressure that I was having as someone who's about to sit for the exams na yuko shule, but I was just at peace. So that experience made me ilifanya nikajua but there's life in Jesus. There's life in Jesus.
So I have a question in terms, now that you've mentioned your mother, where was your mother as you were discovering Christianity? Is she on board with you guys? Yeah, left.
My mom, I know she was coming from a Christian home, but I didn't see my mom have a relationship with God the way I saw my
Your
dad.
father? Okay.
Because my dad used to show it to us openly. To watch family TV, Bible, before we eat, we have to pray. Mgeni akiingia hivi, before we say hi and goodbye,
we pray. I know.
You need law added today. If a random person is coming to visit us, let's give thanks. We'll give thanks and then
I know. Pigeni magoti. And he prayed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my dad showed it to us openly, and I believe that for all the four of us, we caught it from my dad, because unajua children learn
by sight,
observation. Yeah. So sisi tulikuwa na, I think my mom alikuja kujua Yesu in a deeper way much later in life, through experiences that I know God had to take her through. I think Mungu alimpeleka kwa valley yake, and then there in that valley, because right now I know how she feels about Jesus, and even sahi hakuna hiyo, because kitambo kungekuwa na unaenda church sana, umeosha vyombo, umefanya sijui nini, you know. But nowadays it's like, aki mami, niko na this meeting, I really have to go, I don't want to be late, acha nifanye hiyo baadaye, and she'll be thumbs up, you know. So I think for her, she has gotten to have a relationship with Jesus more intimately baadaye kidogo.
Interesting.
Okay.
So another thing I wanted us to talk about. Now we have given our lives to Christ. We've become young Christians, and now we are becoming. You know, the Paul says in the Bible that babes take milk, and then the ones who are more mature
meat.
they eat
Eat meat.
meat. At what point did you start eating meat in your Christian walk?
That's an interesting question.
I know.
For me, I don't know how this will come out, but in Kings, there's so much rapid growth that used to happen in Kings.
Yeah.
Ulikuwa unajua hivi kama umeenda,
I feel like you need to tell our viewers what Kings is, because we keep on
mentioning Kings. So I hope nitaisema vizuri. Kings was an interdenominational youth ministry. We used to meet on Thursdays and Fridays. Sindio?
Also Wednesdays.
and
and
they used to go
Wednesdays.
to high schools also.
Yeah, and they also used to go to high school. So ungepata different youths from different churches coming together on particular days to learn about Christ. And we had amazing ministers. Shout out to Kina Anto, Kina
Lawa, Washara.
yeah, Kina Mark Ben, Kina Alfie. They made a difference, and they.
In our lives.
I feel like Kings played its role at its time.
wow, it
Major
definitely
role.
did.
Because for me, I can never mention my work with God
Without
without mentioning
mentioning
Kings.
Kings.
Very true.
And there's no way I can disregard that.
Yeah,
you
that's
get?
true.
Eh,
Very true.
So that was Kings. And uko ndo niliinvitwa na spirit, and then I encountered God there. So I was saying,
rapid growth.
yeah, so I was saying, I think in Kings there was so much rapid. Ulikuwa unaingia kama umeenda shwa, umekuwa rocket. So I think there was this tendency of eating meat very quickly. So I feel like nilingia Kings ka nimekunywa maziwa nikikula nyama. I don't know.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's your journey.
Makes sense, yeah. For you, my sister.
For me, when did you meet? You met Kings after?
I
After high
met
school?
Kings,
Yeah.
yes, after
Like
high
you
school. Yes.
Bumped it? Okay.
2017.
For us, it was in high school.
high
They used
school,
to
yeah.
come for whatever.
Bible studies.
So for me, my experience is that I knew a lot in a short span. There was
I think
so
that
much,
is what I'm calling rapid growth.
your rapid growth.
Yes.
So for me, there was, and it was very interesting because vitu zingine zinasema. And then for me, inafika point hadi I remember niko naangalia sasa the person, the speaker, I'm like, you're well articulate. How can you just
I know.
Colossians what
Did you what?
off the top of your head?
I know.
You know,
Plus nice
they
English
they
at the
do
same time.
that, and then pick out a second
Another
a book
verse.
in Peter, a book in the
Connect all of
and
them.
connect. I'm like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is it. And I remember I was like, I want to be like this. Not speak, definitely not. At
Spiritually.
the time. I just wanted to be able, hata kama ni for myself, nikifikiria.
Yes.
Najua mbesi, Colossians, Second Peter, you know, Genesis 3. You know, I loved how you know the word like that. So for my experience was, I knew a lot in such a short span. But I would say eating meat, I think I started eating meat after in my transition from Kings to TOT.
Your church now.
Yeah, in that transition period, that's where I started eating meat.
Kwani what
Especially-
are you referring to as meat?
Like for me, I'm looking at it as now an upgrade, for lack of a better word. Not
Okay.
upgrade of what we are being taught, because we are being taught very similar things but in different ways. Now it's now the different ways I'm being taught these things.
Okay.
So because I remember actually I would say I would point it to nilianza kuchoka na where I was I was attending church. It just became so, it just ilinibore.
Dry. It was just dry.
Yeah. I'm not na siko baya. This siko baya,
Yeah.
guys. Siko baya. For me, I was not receiving anything.
Anything,
I remember
yeah.
I used to now I used to go to church. Niende nikule bajia.
No, when it
Juu hiyo place ilikuwa na bajia safi. feel. So niko nangoja tu wamalize tuende tukule bajia alafu sasa tuende teens kabambe that was it for me. That was Sunday
hata
for
me
me.
after Kings I used to feel the same way. After ile place tulikuwa tunaendanga nakumbuka tulienda na tata hadi tukafanya presentation. So hata mimi after joining Kings now I felt dry about that place.
For me it was not
so
after. When I was in Kings, I still went to my church and I was still active. It is in that period of transitioning when God wanted to remove me from
this
that
place
church to here.
TT, okay.
And then I was still leaving, not leaving, but there was need to leave, to move from Kings to there. For me, for Tiffany. No one told me, but I just moved.
I think it happened like that for everyone who moved. A need just arised and you, hey, CEO, so ambie people after later.
I'm sorry, guys.
I think for everyone who transitioned like that or from Kings to another place, some reason just arose. Good reason.
Yeah.
I think that question that you just asked, what you're referring to as meat, it's a good question. Maybe we should have defined it before we answered that question. Because now, for me, in my work with Christ, because normally I go to Purpose Center. Let me call it Purpose Center, Rock Assemblies, and one thing that majorly happened is I had the desire to serve in church. I remember I first plugged into teens ministry, and then when they called for auditions, I joined worship team. But I remember, well, my life was still normal, practicing, and doing what you need to do. But at some point in my life, God began to, let me say God. I don't think this was me. This deep desire to have, to pray at night. Easy prayers are, quiet time is good, hiyo ya asubuhi, but ile ya usiku.
Yeah, I remember. Tumeenda sleepovers pia na mka usiku anaomba. I used to be like,
and even me at that point, nilikuwa nashanga nitafanya because it was so deep down in my heart. I really wanted to do it. And I began doing it. And then the desire to fast came. And I was fasting left, right, and center. Mpaka I was losing weight. And my sister was like, unakonda sana. Nikakuwa na hiyo desire ya kufast na kupray na kuread Bible. Fast na kupray na kuread Bible. And then I remember during COVID 2020, kukakuwa na, did I fast that year really? I didn't fast much in 2020. But 2021 now I started kila saa fasting. As in, it became a part of me. And the reason I'm calling it meat is I would not have done it at just.
so that was the meat for you. Okay.
For me, it was. Now I started understanding some biblical principles. And then aside from that, our church used to have some classes, Gideon's Army classes. I used to go 7 a.m. Sato.
I remember.
I used to learn.
I didn't understand.
I had such a deep desire to do those things. It was, yani, if I would miss a Saturday ati juu pengine naenda kuimba kwa harusi ya mtu, I would feel like, oh God, nini. But I would just do the, ningeenda hiyo harusi, because I mean, I've already committed myself to sing. But I would constantly feel like, nafaa kukua kwa ile class. So the things of God started to really be impressed in my spirit. Kila saa, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, this is what and I will do it. So sometimes mama atasema tu, naenda sawa. So people in our home walikuwa wanashanga mbona naenda church sana, but at some point wakakubali, this is what she likes to do, let her do it. So ilikuwa naenda church, sawa weenda. Naenda church weenda. Mpaka sometimes my brother would ask me, na leo sipeo ujena church? Leo class hakuna. So that thing was really and it has really helped me, because looking back now, the kind of person that I am and even the kind of things I've been able to maneuver as a Christian is because of the meat, the deep end that I threw myself into, or rather the deep end that God alini rusha. Of course, kumekuwa na trials and tribulations here and there that bring you closer to God. The way the Bible says that He's closer to those who are brokenhearted. Of course, there's that, but there's the one that now you want to be close to God.
Oh, okay.
You want to take every step possible to make sure that you are understanding the things of God and just being with God. So that began to happen. Na nilianza kuona how now I started handling challenges and different problems that were coming to me was not different. Like, for example, when we lost our business, my sister and I, at that point, it to hurt. And even sometimes my sister and I, we talk about it and we're like, wow, we really loved that business. But by the time we were now deciding to let it go, we were both at peace. Because even her, she was transitioning into, corporate employment. She was graduating, or rather nearing graduation. And Mimi, I was just there. But it didn't, we had given our
best.
Hey, we used to love that shop with all our heart. But now when we decided to close it down because of the circumstances, it didn't put me down the way I thought it would. Because that shop was our lives. Monday to Monday. The only day we take a break is Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's because Sunday, the owners of the building are not opening.
opening.
Kama wangekuwa na open, tungekuwa tunaenda
Mungekuwa
kufungua.
mnaenda.
So, looking back now, the kind of relationship I had with God made me cruise through that time safely. As in siku, I didn't lose my mind.
I think that was my transition period because I remember there's a time I was really reading my Bible. As in, I was guy. I think to a point when najiambia, I think you're doing too much now. Because I just want to read my Bible. And najua hiyo sio mimi nimejiambia because I could ningekuwa kwa TV. Mimi nina watch apata kuko na TikTok. Kuna hii not Real Housewives. Akina Kim anaitwa nini?
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, at the time,
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
Keeping up, those things, let me tell you, keeping up with those ones. I knew reality shows, I knew them. So I would have been doing that. But I'm like, no, let me go read my Bible. And it's an urge. It's not that it's you're deciding, this time, let's go do this. Yeah. I just feel like I need to know X and X. And I'll just be reading. No formula, let me do Genesis, then do Matthew. No, I would just randomly be like, today I feel like Moses. Let's go read Moses. And I would reread it. And I would reread
That's
it.
why you like Moses.
I really love Moses, let me tell you. I really, really love Moses and Joseph, to be honest.
For me, again, in Kings, I used to get the urge to pray and to read the Bible. I used to immediately I wake up like self nakumbuka time how yetu ataikuwa na ceiling na milango.
Yeah.
Immediately I wake up like this. I used to pray, and I'm talking about praying in the spirit. And for some reason I had not mastered how to pray na sauti ya chini. So unaona hiyo
wow.
You see, because I was new to that, kulikuwa na hiyo let me call it force. Venye tu itakuja hivyo ndo tutaenda hivyo. And then I used to also wake up at around either 12 or 3 just to pray. And I used to pray. I used to pray. Adi house help wetu akasema sasa huyu anajifanya. Hata hizo vitu anaongeanga si maombi. So for me it was for me it was that bitter. And also the gospel, just understanding the gospel. Because you see hiyo time nimepata aja ku read Bible. Umepata aja kusoma, yes, but I'd not get. And then we go for the King's meeting. And the pastor explains it, and I'm like, wow, that is what it meant. So such experiences. Now when I came to TOT, it got even better. Because now the person who's now teaching in TOT is doing it at ni kama na chimba sasa deeper. Unaget? So I feel like the meat now became sweeter. Sasa imeongezwa sauce to Royco and everything. Yeah.
And I think even as we're continuing with this conversation, one thing that is really standing out for me is that Christianity is not about what we see. It is how we are relating with God.
It's a relationship, yeah.
You know what? When you first make that confession, you accept Jesus in your heart, and you accept Jesus as Lord, not Jesus as fallback plan. You know? You accept him as Lord over your life. You will begin to see that he also works towards having an intimate relationship with you. You know. So Christianity is not, and then I also wanted to say that there's a difference between Christianity and the church.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like that you're a church in your spirit for another day. But Christianity is your personal walk with Christ. This myth of Christianity is the church. The moment someone mentions Christianity, you're just like, pastors,
Yeah.
church, tithe, offer.
Or there's now
Come on.
they attach that to someone talked rudely to them in church.
Church
So
now, then
Christianity is a
Christianity
whole.
yeah, you know, you remember that meme of it's someone who hurt you. See, yes,
See
See,
Yesu,
Yesu.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
and Christianity is that you deciding to walk with Jesus and Jesus saying, you know what, my son, my daughter, me, I want to walk with you more than you want to walk with me. You know, let's go.
But
And
I can see how that person, sorry, I can see how that person can, I can see how an outsider looking in can link the two. Because in representing Christ to someone who either doesn't know or is just getting to know, you are their Christ. And they don't know that it's like a, I don't know how to, it's not that it's something amejiambia even on
Ambassadors, you're
it's like a thing in their mind. So when you are rude to them or you cast them out in one way or another, they're going to be like, nakanaombanga ako. Una get? And it's not, yes, you sound, it comes out very wrongly.
yeah,
But it's us being ambassadors of Christ in the best way that we can. We're not saying tuende tuanze sasa it's
Yeah,
not out of God's strength, it is out of our own strength, but it is in the representing in the best way that we can. Because at the end of the day, this person is going to know Christ with you.
absolutely.
With
But
you.
I also
If there's such a person watching who automatically thinks that, I think the reason someone like that can think like that is because Christianity is painted as perfectionism.
Yeah, it is.
So if
Yeah.
there's such a person
Yeah.
watching, they
Yeah.
need to understand Christians are not perfect.
Yeah.
In fact, there is where you find the sickest people
Yo.
because they have come to be like, by the time I was
Wamekuja
joining Kings, I was such a
huduma pia.
broken person.
Yeah.
You know, I was so broken. I was into, my emotions were just shit and all that. So imagine nimejoin Kings hiyo siku, umekuja umenipata hapo hiyo siku, nitapita na wewe. So I think such a person should understand the church is like a garage. The fact that watu wamejaa huko doesn't mean they are perfect. The fact that they are raising their hands and, you know, crying and what.
And this is
God
what
is still working on them. So you need to stop viewing it as that and also understand Christians can also fall.
Yeah.
The same
yeah.
way
That's
Muslims can
that.
fall.
Yeah, the same way
Buddhists
Muslims can
Jews
fall
can fall.
and yeah,
And if,
kabisa.
when we give so much grace to those people,
Yeah.
but when it comes
to Christianity,
a pastor
there's
has done X and X, we want to kill them.
And it's because they automatically, you're a pastor, you should be perfect.
Yeah.
Mbona unaangalia msichana mdogo akipita, unaangalia nini? You shouldn't see. In fact, chop off those eyes, you know.
Yeah.
But they also, and some of these things that happen in church, they also happen in their workplaces,
Exactly.
in their schools.
In their
it's just because
neighborhoods,
it's church,
it's
because
done
there's a
by-
perception you have.
It's
So
true.
change
It's
your
true.
perception.
It's true.
Just like
It's
you'll
true.
have gossip in your workplace. You'll
Yeah.
have it in
And
church.
show grace to that boss.
Yes, show grace here
Yeah.
to this pastor.
Yeah.
And even more, this is what I normally say. These people who normally say that the church hurt them or Christianity is false, and they're like the reason they don't believe in Jesus and in Christianity is because
Church is in our hearts.
is because of their experience. I normally say you did not experience Jesus and you are not willing to sit through it.
You experienced men.
Because if in a relationship you're willing to go from talking stage to going on dates to being
Having
asked
conflicts
out,
and solving the conflicts.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And now being engaged and then deciding to spend the rest of your life with this person and still deciding to forgive this person even in that marriage.
Like, and he has done some, or she has done the most weirdest of things.
But you're willing to put up with that. But when it comes to Jesus,
You're not.
you want things to be done your way.
Exactly.
You know,
the way
we
you have
have-
them in your head.
We have a constitution which is called the Bible.
Yeah.
And this is what I normally say. I normally say, come up for real the church. Because niwaulize nyinyi hapa. Si pia nyinyi mmehatiwa na watu wenye wako church.
Exactly.
You see?
Yeah.
But if you've decided that your focus is in Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah.
If your focus is in Jesus, then no matter what you experience, it will not take you out from intimacy with him. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So me, I normally say that these are people who did not work towards intimacy. They joined the church maybe for fun.
Ama kupima watu.
Kupima rada,
Kupima
or
rada ya
just to
watu.
be safe.
acha nione kama ni ukweli.
Or maybe they
Yeah.
even made the sinner's prayer so that they don't go to hell.
Yeah, but they're not
The fear of
actively-
hell.
Yeah.
actively
They're not
living
actively
out.
working out their
in
salvation
yeah.
with fear and trembling. You know, when the Bible said work out your salvation with fear and trembling, it meant exactly
With
that.
that.
Sometimes you are going to be trembling. Sometimes you're going to have fear, but you still have to do it. So me, I normally say, as we wind up our video, I normally say that if you're going to decide to be a Christ, if you're going to decide that Jesus is the Lord over your life, then you need to know that He comes first and every other thing second.
Second, that's true.
So you're signing up. You are signing a contract that Jesus is going to be number one milele.
Yeah.
Na hizo vitu zingine spouse, career, nini zitakuwa second. And lastly, the good thing with Jesus is He wants the best for you. You know, He has always wanted the best for us. Ni sisi tunawanga wana wapotevu. You know, we want to run for our own things,
Or rather, we want things to happen the way we want them to happen.
even if they're going to harm us.
Hey, and this mindset that after you're born again things are rosy. Let me
easy.
tell you.
Whoa.
They are not rosy.
In fact,
Sayo ndo unaamsha shetani vizuri.
things actually become very tricky.
Yeah.
Worse.
So if your intentions are not in the right place,
Yeah.
you miss it.
I think you need to
Intentions, that's
to search out your heart. Like when David was saying, create in me a clean heart. I think you need to search out the intention of searching out God. Why am I searching out God? Is it because I need a job? Is it because I need my rent?
Yeah.
I think the best person you can be honest with is yourself and God.
Yeah.
Like lie to us. We really, it doesn't matter. If you are honest with God and like, bedhe mimi God wacha nikwambie nimekam juu sina rent. Yo,
Mi kushalipia rent ni
yo
hivyo.
ni hivyo. And then mpangane vile mtapangana hesabu. Yeye he will know how he will get you. He might give you that
Yeah.
rent.
He knows
and
the
then
right
down
buttons to
You know,
push.
he
Yes.
knows. He knows. So he will do the math for you.
Yes.
Or you're the person either for you want to understand who is this guy for real. And then it's not even actually, let me tell you, I think I've had testimonies where it always starts out as you coming for a need. Then God will get you
Yeah.
somewhere. And you're like, okay, this guy provided for this.
Yeah.
Why? And then unaanza, I'm not even the best person. I've done this. I do this. I'm not willing to even let
Things
this
dawn
go.
on you.
You know.
Yeah.
And you're like, so what is he about? Why can he give me rent? Then that's where you start planning out your salvation journey. But really, don't come into salvation with the mindset of it is rainbows and sunshine and holding hands as we sing hallelujah.
And even lastly, even as you come expecting that, know that it's going to be you see
It's going to be a journey.
Ukienda
There's a process to it. Lazima
Kulia.
upanelitiwe,
Utakalia.
uchongwe before you get there.
yeah, and even hata kama ulikubali Yesu kwa sababu wewe ulikuwa unataka tu rent, jua that the perfect will of God most of the time is going to happen in our lives.
Yeah.
You will see to it that kama Tiffany ni mtoto wake, ni mimi ndo nitakuwa baba yake.
Exactly.
And he will take care of you the way he wants to take care of you. And sometimes it'll be painful.
It will be painful. Because you're thinking, we rent inafai kulipwa 20th, ndio hii ni 19th, tunaenda 12 am inaenda kukaribia, na bado hauna. Na hata the next week,
And that is because God is trying to build up some things in you. You get
build or remove.
build or remove.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we finish, Pia, allow me to say this. I want to speak to someone who desires to experience God for God. You are curious. Utaki rent or whatever. You just
Uko
want
na
to.
rent.
Uko na rent and all that. You just want to know who is this person really. Is it true when people say this? I watched this on TV ministers doing this. I watched this testimony. Someone said this. Is it true? If you're that person, imagine just wherever you are, apo piga tu magoti, muite. Kama ni wa ukweli, imagine ataitika. Full stop.
But anyway, all in all, I think I believe that this is the best decision that I made in my life, because I don't think I would have done life without God. Na hiyo kichwa ngumu tumepambana. Na hiyo
Tumenyoroshwa,
stress,
tukarudi kwa line.
Exactly. As in this is a present person, whether or not I'm agreeing, whether or not I'm behaving, whether or not I am
He's
being
there.
a good girl or not. You know, even in me making very pathetic decisions, he's like, okay, we made this decision, ni sawa. What way forward ni gani? You get? And that is, I think for me, that is what blesses my heart about having a relationship with Christ, is that when everything else fails, this one, he stands.
For me, what got me to that place where my mind registered that God is real, like tangible, like the way I am touching you right now, was an encounter. Like experiencing like his legit power. And one of those things is like that, praying in the spirit, or we are in worship. Kama hiyo nilikuwa nawaambia, I went to a random church, and my hands were just shaking. I went back home. Nilifika church 10 by 10:30. I was back home. And nilisimama nje ya gate and I was thinking to myself, guy, this God is real. You get? So probably there's also someone else who just wants that. You just want to feel that tangible side of God. Again, ask for it.
Yeah. We really serve a very interesting God.
Yeah, so mnaona tunaweza kuwa pia maspiri.
Na show. Si banta na kucheka kila siku.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we are recording at Awesome Media Studios, KE. You can see they have quality sound, lighting, the setup is beautiful. If you want to also record your own content,
please feel free.
yes, details are there kwa screen. Tafadhali reach out. They are awesome people, professionals, and their rates are affordable. Yes.
Yeah, and lastly, we hope you learned something from this video. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment, and let us know what you think about
Your
some of the
thoughts.
things that we talk about.
Recommend to a friend,
Yes.
guys. Yeah, alafu utuambie how we did. Your feedback is important.
Absolutely, yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.